In this video, we're going to be kind of working a little more on our HUD. So what we're going to be doing is kind of at least getting the start for making the UI element for, well, the widget for this little setup here. So we need to kind of think about how we're going to do this. So obviously we could just, well, for example, let's go ahead and open our HUD. So blueprint classes, player, HUD, and our widget HUD, which only has our interact text currently on it. Well, we could just make a new, an image with some text in it, which would be fine, but we need a way to scale it based on the amount of players as well as alter it a bit based on whether or not we are the current player. Well, such as this guy here, you can see he is in player slot 4. So we're not going to be kind of distinguishing between each player just yet because we don't have any sort of real, well, we kind of do based on the player index from the server, but we don't have any way to really show which will dictate which player you would be in this slot of 4. So what we're going to do is just create a UI widget with a scale box, and that scale box is going to kind of control the layout, so to speak. So we would add more and more elements to, or not the scale box, sorry, it's under panel, a horizontal, vertical box, sorry. So that way each element gets dropped inside and it gets added to it in kind of a list format. So let's go ahead and begin. So I'm going to create a new user interface widget blueprint. I'm going to call this one W underscore, let's do live points because this is constantly being updated live and it's visual. It's a little bit different than the screen that comes up when you hold tab or whatever it is on console. So now we're met with this screen and we can go ahead and delete the canvas panel. So let's look and see what kind of things we're going to need. We need an image for the kind of like the blood splatter and such behind it, as well as a text box, so just normal text. So if we drag out an image, I can't add text into that image. So we're gonna have to kind of get a little something to layer this. So let's look under panel, trying to think what would be a good option for this. Let's see. We could do a button technically. And that would lay it. Let's do a border. Let's see, the border can have, okay, so the border can have an image. I'm going to use the just random brick texture that I have. Actually, let's see, look for just any old texture. Yeah, the crosshair that comes with the first person template. And we should be able to add text inside of the border, like so. So as you can see, it looks very wonky, but if I come up here to desired, it now looks a little bit better. So we could have these, for example, that kind of setup with the texture underneath being the border, which I want to get a set as a variable. And for now, we actually don't really need to worry about that. We need to worry about the text. So I'm going to set this as a variable, and I'm going to do tb underscore points text. I want to justify it to the left, and it's based on the size of the text currently. If I shrink it, you can see it kind of shrinks the entire block. Well, I don't really want that. What I want is a scale box. So I'm going to click on border, right click, wrap with, scale box. And let's see here. Set the image to fillet. And the way this is going to get set up is it should be stretched to fit our vertical box. So we have a scale box with a border inside of it for our image and our text inside of that to display our points. So I'm going to set this up in our HUD inside the vertical box to make sure that it's actually working kind of how it was in my head. So I want to grab a vertical box, just drag it over here, gonna anchor it to the bottom right, and reset everything. And then for alignment, let's do 0.5, or sorry, 1. And for the Y, let's see, that would be, I don't know, let's do like 5. And we need to increase the size. So we are not really all that big. Increase this to 6. Let's go back to 5. And I want to go a little bit farther, so I'm going to do 1.1. Get a little farther from the side. And let's make it a little taller. All right, let's kind of round these up. So 590, 455, and 200. And we actually reset the position on the Y. Set that to 3. Right, 2. There we go. I kind of goofed a little bit there. Okay, so here's our vertical box. Let's add some user created elements. So our W underscore live points. Here we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we can kind of roughly see what it looks like. So I'm going to set the text to default at 500. And let's just look at it. All right, so there we have our points kind of laid out like so. Yeah, it looks a little funky, but let's look again. And it's going to be a good bit smaller than that. So let's shrink it. So let's go to the scale box. Shrink it down something like so, but still big enough to fit. I'm going to reset the position again to 0. Let's go over here to our live points. Change the font of our points text. Let's do 16. Right, there we have it at a lot smaller numbers. Honestly, that's probably about right. So then shrink it up again and reset the position. Right, that dropped it. Actually, I'm going to leave it about there for the position. And let's look again. And that's about kind of how I would want the scale and everything to be. That's in a pretty good spot. It's parkour. So I think I'm pretty happy with the scaling of that. So I'm going to leave it as is. You can see it really turns into an ugly mess with the texture. So I want to change that out of curiosity and see just kind of what happens. To see if like the texture is just being really weird, but I don't really know if I have any. Is it all materials? There we go. Let's do some pine. Oh, great, it's probably going to compile shaders now. But, oh, there it goes. So, we have that kind of setup. But I do want to add a little bit of padding. I want to round the size out to 250 and 125. So we would want to add some padding when we spawn each one. So what I mean by that, go here, I want to add padding of, let's do 10. Compare it, or a little much. Let's do 5. Actually, we're going to leave this for another video because I want to end up trying to get a little bit of a that bloodish look for the background image going in GIMP. Yeah, I'm using GIMP and see kind of if the blurring, yeah, because I think that's kind of how they did it. So we're not going to do any padding actually. Instead, I'm going to make some images up and hopefully that will be just what we do in the next video. And we'll replace the background image for these with our newly created image. Oh, that looks really bad. I set the, screw it, doesn't matter. Set it to black. So our image will kind of replace the background a bit. So anyways, that's going to be all for this video as we got our little points HUD set up there. In the next one, I'm going to, if I have the images done, we'll be setting up the images to actually, well, do what I just said. No, I'm kind of rambling here, but anyways, I will see you in the next one when, well, I don't know what we're going to do yet. So I'll just see you in the next one.